What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another video by Coastal Carburetor. Today we are doing a rebuild on not only one 600 CFM edelbrock carburetor, but two. That's right. This is going for a dual quad build. You got two 600 CFMs, which are actually going to be reduced because I didn't have any 500 CFM carbs for this customer. So thanks to these handy little machine restrictors, there's going to be two 500 CFM carburetors. So hang on, enjoy the video. Now I know you're looking at these carburetors thinking that's not Endurashine, that's not a standard edelbrock finish. You're probably thinking, oh, that's paint, it's going to wash right off. No, it's not. This is powder coat. Yeah. You got powder coat, which almost looks exactly like chrome or Endurashine. And then we've got this lovely purple, as the customer requested. This is his color combination. It's a very good looking purple, and under the light there's actually a little bit of flake in there. And all the hardware has been replated in either nickel or sodium dichromate to give it that yellow chromate finish. All right, throttle plates installed. This video is pretty much going to be a lot of step-by-step and finished steps, steps that are finished, because my camera girl decided that she didn't want to help today. She would rather watch Minecraft on YouTube rather than help her father out. So I'm just going to be doing my best. So all new screws, all Loctited in. You do not want a screw to come back out, so always use Loctite. When you install these in, I don't know how well you can see them, but you'll see the edges are beveled. And get my screwdriver to go in the right where I want it to. The edge has got a little bit of a bevel to it, so when you shut it, they seal 100%, and you want to make sure that both your primaries and secondaries are sealed shut. Your idle is going to open the primary a little bit, but secondary has to be 100% shut. Best way to check: hold it up to a light or hold a flashlight to it, and if you see any light coming through it, it's not seated properly. You do not want any vacuum on your secondaries at idle, because it's going to pull fuel through the boosters and it is going to run really rich. So on the secondaries, 100% sealed shut. All right, let's move on to the next step. Okay, camera's not wanting to cooperate today, so it's a little fuzzy, but as you can see, linkage is built, connect primary and secondary. If you have a few extra fingers, or born part octopus, maybe you're one of the Charles Xavier's X-Men, and you got all kinds of abilities, you'll have an easy time putting this on. This is a pain in the butt. So make sure your springs are in the right place. Make sure everything is lined up the way it's supposed to be, and everything will work fine. And as you can see, activate throttle, and everything works just the way as it should. All right, mixture screws are installed. Sometimes the problem with plating and powder coating is things get put on a little thick. So a lot of times, before you go putting everything together, just double check. Maybe run a tap through the body where the mixture screw goes in, and maybe just run the threads of the mixture screw over a wire brush. Just get some of that plating off, because it's can be put on a little thick, but sometimes a micron or two of plating or powder coating will make all the difference in the world when you're trying to screw these in, and you wonder why about half a turn they feel snug. That's not good. So with edelbrocks, usually what I like to do is, once their threads are cleaned up, I run them all the way down till they stop. Don't go cranking on them, just until you feel them stop. don't go any further. Then back them out 1.5 turns on each screw. When you adjust them, and I've seen so many carburetors come into my shop with this problem, each screw has to be turned the exact amount. So if you turn this one 1/4 turn, this one has to go 1/4 turn, in or out. It's not like, you turn this one in 5 turns and then this one, out 3. They've got to be even, because one side controls this side controls this side. Equal amount of fuel. Next, set your auxiliary valve in. Make sure it's got some nice travel, no binding, nothing like that. Take your boosters. Make sure your gaskets are in. And your primaries. If you'll notice on the gasket, you're going to see a little notch. It's cut out on the side. Make sure that is for this air bleed tube. So make sure you have the right one, because there is a left and a right. Right. And there you go. Your pump nozzle squirter. Put it on. I got ahead of myself here and put it on. Underneath there, you're going to see a little counterweight, and under that is a check ball. Make sure both of those are in there. Otherwise, when you go, it'll start up and that'll fine. As soon as you hit the throttle, it ain't going to go nowhere. So make sure you have them both. Your gasket and your nozzle. It's a good idea. When they're plated, it goes through a huge step cleaning process. If you're just building this in your garage, make sure you clean these tubes out really good. Use a piece of wire. Make sure this air bleed is cleaned out. That one's cleaned out. And your emulsion tube's free of any dirt. It's hard to put this in when looking through a camera. Okay, moving on to the next step. There. Everything's now all bolted together. You can see, got the reducers installed. These were actually made by a machinist, and I've used them a bunch of times. They work great if you have one size carburetor and you need to go a little smaller, but can't find them, or people that are selling them, think they're worth their weight in frickin' gold and want to charge you $300 for a crusty core that looks like it was pulled out of the bottom of a river. Yeah, I know you're watching me, and I know your prices. You're ridiculous. But anyway, these work great. I have actually tested them on a flow bench, and just these installed here, as it sits, goes from a 600 to a 500, and there's actually ones you can put on the secondary that will drop it all the way down to a 400. Again, I've seen it on the flow bench. Results work. I've tested it on motors, built them for customers. Everybody's really happy with them. They work great. I did not design these. I'm not taking credit for them. There is a guy on eBay. His handle, I believe his name is Junkyard, but he's a great machinist, and he makes these and a bunch of other things. And they are a machine fit. They slide right on. Because of the size, you don't got to worry about them popping off and falling down into the motor. That's not going to happen. I do put a little bit of JB Weld on the edges of the fitting, so when you slide it in, it slides up, coats the whole thing, and stays perfectly straight, and it'll stay on there and it ain't gonna move. All right, we're gonna move on to the next part. One thing to mention, if you do change the CFMs, you're gonna have to change your jets and go down smaller. Smaller amount of air needs smaller amount of fuel. So do your research. Make sure you jet accordingly to your CFM rating. One important thing, do not forget your fuel bowl baffle plates. Very important. Do not forget them. Alright, next step, floats. You're going to want to install your needle and seats. You're under your float. Each one comes with a little screen. Slide it in, put the gasket on, and then screw the needle and seat into the carburetor, to the air horn. You want to set your float height. You want to go till it's tipped up. The top of the float is right at about 7/16. You're going to want to do that on both sides. And then you want to set your drop, which is basically how far down they fall. And you're going to want to set that to about 29-30 seconds. I'd show you, but I don't have 3 arms to hold the air horn, hold the camera, and hold the gauge. So take my word for it. Okay, under here is your step-up piston. And under that is your step-up spring, and the step-up piston controls your metering rod. Now, I left this one out so you can see. The little spring. Step-up piston. And you want to make sure that before you put your cover on, you just wiggle it a little bit so it drops below the air horn. That means it's seated in the jet. You should be able to push it down and then just slip your cover on and install your screw, and that'll hold it in place. Alright, one done. This is going to be the rear one because it's set up with electric choke. This is the one it's going to idle off of. And as the throttle opens, aggressive linkage is going to allow the front carb to open as soon as I get it built. So I'm just going to go ahead and build the other one, and I will show you the finished project when it is all said and done. Thank you.